Hey guys, it's Melanie. So today I have a review for you of the Tarte Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Airbrush Powder Foundation. I have actually had some requests in the past to review this powder foundation, and I actually picked it up well over a month ago at Ulta. You can find this foundation at Ulta, I believe at Sephora, and then obviously on the Tarte website as well, and maybe even on QVC. I will link it down below in the description box in a few different places, and you can maybe go read up a little bit more about it and see if it's a good fit for you as well. I was really intrigued by this foundation. It took me a long time to actually commit to purchasing it because I have some go-to powder foundations that work extremely well for me. I am someone who is super loyal to Laura Geller Balance and Brighten. I love this. It is amazing. The color fit in the color Fair is not perfect for me, but I can make it work. I love the finish of this. I love the way that it makes my skin look. I love the way that it wears, just the feel. It's amazing. It's incredible. Another powder foundation that I really love that I actually have put away for quite some time now is my Everyday Minerals Semi-Matte Base. I still love that. It's just a little bit more messy. It is a loose powder foundation, kind of like this guy is. So that can definitely be a deterrent to a lot of people with powder foundation, is that it maybe makes a little bit more of a mess than a liquid foundation does. In fact, yes, 100%. There is foundation all over my desk all the time. In fact, throughout this entire room, everything has this fine coating of like a powder foundation on it, and I have to dust a lot more frequently. But because my skin is so oily, I find that it just works the best for me. It wears the longest. It just feels the best on my skin. It doesn't make me break out. It doesn't settle into my pores. It's amazing. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So I chose the color Fair Light Neutral, which is the same color that I am in the Tarte Double Duty Pressed Powder Foundation. I have done an in-depth review of that and have actually mentioned that in a powder foundation favorites video as well. So I will try to remember to link my original review down below. That is also a really great powder foundation, and it is in a pressed format. This is the same color as I am in that one, so this is a really good color fit. I will say that this is a much better fit color-wise than the Fair in Laura Geller Balance and Brighten. But the difference is that this is loose, so it is a little bit more messy. And I do have to say that I don't love this. If you're here just to like find out whether I love this or not, I really do like this. I don't love it. This is never going to replace Balance and Brighten or Everyday Minerals, but I will definitely enjoy using this, and I will use it up. And I may purchase it again at some point in the future, but it's not like a holy grail powder foundation for me. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Let's talk about the packaging. It's a little bit different. There is a unique feature to this in that it has the netting in it. If you guys can see, let me shake off some of that powder there. If you guys can see that netting in there, that definitely does help to keep the powder a little bit more contained. However, it's not my favorite because I like to do the swirl and like tapping motion with my powder foundation brush. So because this netting in here, there's nothing solid underneath it, it's really hard to get the amount that I want onto the brush. And then because the lid has this little stopper to keep the product in it while you're, say, traveling, which is great, it's impossible to work the product into the brush that way. So I find myself having to like work it into the palm of my hand to get it deeper into the bristles so I can then apply it to my face. So there's an inconvenience factor there that I don't love. So that's kind of the first thing that makes me not super anxious to repurchase this again. The second thing is that while it's a really good color match and that it looks great on my skin, it doesn't oxidize. But I find that it breaks down at about the 6-7 hour mark during the day. So I do have oily skin, and that can cause makeup to break down a lot faster than, say, like a dry skin type or a more normal skin type. So that's a little bit of a miss for me. I don't have that issue with the Laura Geller Balance and Brighten or the Everyday Minerals. By the way, I will link both of those powder foundations down below as well, since I'm talking about them, so you know where to look for them. But yeah, it just tends to break down a little bit, and I find that it starts to separate on my skin just a little bit. But up until that point, it looks beautiful. It is definitely a powder foundation that if I'm putting my makeup on much later in the day, or if I don't need my makeup to last a long time, this is a great one to go to because it does make my skin look really nice. It does have a medium to almost full buildable coverage. You definitely have to build it, and you can do that with a beauty blender, either wet or dry. You can do that by just putting a little bit extra on your brush and just building in certain areas, really buffing the product into your skin. So the coverage is very nice. I wouldn't say someone who normally wants like much heavier coverage, or if you're used to the coverage that like a full coverage liquid foundation would give you, you might be disappointed in this. But as far as powder foundations go, it definitely is medium to full buildable type of coverage in that arena. So there are some unique ingredients in here that they claim, you know, give you that beautiful glow to your skin and are just, you know, good, friendly skin conditioning ingredients. And those would be the Amazonian clay, which, you know, definitely is a better fit for an oilier skin type. They have tourmaline in here, pearl powder, which is supposed to add a little bit of a glow. They have mineral pigments, as well as camellia leaf extract. And I believe this formula is actually vegan, if I remember correctly. There's no parabens in here, there's no mineral oils, there's no phthalates, triclosan, sodium lauryl sulfate, or gluten. And it looks like the main ingredients that you're getting in here are the mica, the camellia leaf extract, the quartz, the smithsonite extract, tourmaline, kaolin, pearl powder. So there's no talc in here. So those of you that don't like talc in your powder foundations, you know, there's mica in here, but there's no talc. So might be a good thing to look at if you have a talc aversion. I don't personally have one. I think the Laura Geller may have talc in it. I can't remember, but I'll put the information for the Balance and Brighten down below. So they basically just tell you to work a brush into that mesh sifter, no shaking necessary, tap away the excess, and then buff the moisture-rich powder into the skin in a circular motion. And then you can obviously apply more as needed. Yeah, overall, I think it's good. I'm really glad that I finally tried it. It is $36, so it's on the higher end of the powder foundation price range. But I do think it's worth it, especially if you have more normal to combination skin. I feel like this would probably wear a lot longer on those of you that have that skin type versus those of you that maybe are oily to extremely oily. If you are oily to extremely oily, you may want to try the Everyday Minerals, either semi-matte or matte formula. Or I find that the Laura Geller has always worked extremely well on my very oily skin type. Doesn't break down and gives a beautiful creamy coverage that isn't drying to the skin in any kind of way. So yeah, anyway, I really do like this. So if you've been curious about it, I would definitely encourage you to give it a go. They do have 12 shades in the range, so it's a decent range, and they do tend to be either kind of pink or more neutral. Nothing is overly yellow, with the exception of, I think, the sand shade, which I almost got, but I found that the Fairlight Neutral actually works pretty well for me. By the way, this is obviously what I have on my face today, so you can kind of see the coverage that I get. All of my other makeup goes over top beautifully. But yeah, I'm a fan. I think it's good. Packaging, not perfect, but but I do think it's a good product. So let me know if you have tried this powder foundation down below. There is a new powder foundation out from, there's a new brand at Sephora. It starts with an A. I can't remember the name of it. I will link it down below for you. I'm really curious about it right now. I think it's only available online, so I might have to place an order for that. But I'm really curious about it because it looks very similar to the Laura Geller Balance and Brighten. So I think I'm going to try that one next. And obviously report back to you guys about whether it's worth splurging on, because it's another one that's like in the $38 to $40 price range. That's pretty spendy for a powder foundation. I mean, I guess it's kind of on par with what you pay for most liquids, but most higher end liquid foundations. But yeah, it's just kind of hard to sometimes justify that price on powder. But anyway, there you guys go. Let me know if you've tried this one, what your thoughts are, and I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye.